she's comfortable.
Very good. Now, here's something that we have not gone over with whole body, is that relative to that is not every scene, every artwork that requires the whole body. If you went through a book that had everyone always have profile view, would that book be interesting? No. If everyone was at 3/4 view, would that be interesting? No, it's all about variance. And just in that variance, you can't always have a full body. So I want to have this few notes here. Let me zoom in for you. Okay. Right now we've been doing up the whole body, but there are actually 4 different views you can have for the body at any one time. You have the close-up view. Let me just move this to interactive. Close-up view doesn't mean anything shoulders up. Now, does it actually mean you have to zoom in on figure? Not necessarily, but that's normally what you should do. Now, it won't mean much to you right now, but when we actually start putting faces on these bodies, you'll see the importance. The closer you get into your viewer, there you go. The closer you get into your viewer, the more their expression matters. Now, next up we have the mid shot. Mid shot is anything from abdomen up. Now, what do you think could be used for a mid shot? Pardon? I would suggest drawing it, yes. You don't have to write all the words, but I would suggest drawing. What would be the importance of a mid shot? Would we have any heavy action scenes? Or do you think it'd be more about intimately talking to one another? Not even like conversation. Maybe there's some mild action with the arms. But generally speaking, anything here on up is more important to talk about emotional content. Emotions in the face, with close up, emotions in the upper body, for mid shot. Next up, 3/4 shot. This is where we start backing away from intimacy, backing away from conversation, and we start slipping more into action. Because at that point, you have most of the body on the page. You have the knees up, the arms lashing about. You can bend the body over. This one can still tell emotional content, but now we're starting to carry more with action, not have to rely on the expression itself. And finally, a full shot. This is what we've been doing. Now, a full shot has 2 different functions. The first function is establishment. That means we're establishing where that person is, what they're doing, who they're with. So unless we're in a full action scene, this was to tell the where and the who. And the second one is for action. Now, would the type of zoom in we'd have for action be the same as zoom in for establishment? Alyssa?
No.
Why?
Because the establishment, basically, the setting, the action is what exactly they're doing, their role in the setting.
There you go. This one we zoom in. Establishment is a zoom out. Is why I say that not every drawing has to be at the same zoom. Because if everything's far off, we're not going to really see the action and the expression on our characters' faces. At the same time, if everything's zoomed in, we can't see where they are. The context of the background helps carry the context of the figure. I'll go into this more when we get in the last view drawing. Thank you, my on that, then we'll move on. As you can see there. Okay. So the ways you can change the angle. Generally speaking, a 3/4 shot is going to be almost as dynamic as a full shot. Clearly to anticipations here. Body and perspective can help in using more figures and therefore make crowds and bigger scenes. Up to this point, we've only been doing one person at a time. But soon we'll start drawing multiples. Now, what is something that we can do when drawing multiple people that can help tell them apart? So we've gone over, starts with an O. Overlapping, very good, Mr. Gray. Right now, these people aren't overlapped. But we can also tell that they're on one thing. If I just added a couple of lines right here from this vanishing point, I can just make that sidewalk and we're just like people staying on the road. Well, by a road, really. But with overlapping, like here, it helps close in the distance between figures. Now this one here is what we call a low angle shot. Remember how we had the worm's eye view? That's basically what a low angle shot is. Low angle shots have the effect of making things seem larger than they actually are. It creates an imposing sensation. You've seen cartoons how they like to show that something is gigantic by positioning one character to look all the way up. Same thing. And a high angle shot, I can add this real quick. Oops, I should go here. There we go. Can do the same thing. Because now instead of looking up, we're just looking way down. Now another way to make things more dynamic. Close-ups and forced perspective. When we say forced perspective is when we have one object made specifically to be larger than everything else. Just like in our picture back from those notes, someone struck a punch. Zoom in on the fist. Even if that fist seems bigger than it really should be, it brings attention to it and what it's doing. I can just say proper way of describing this is foreshortening. Because if the fist is that big, are you going to see the rest of the arm? See, can you? The fist is made larger to emphasize it. When you see the arm, that's punching that fist. No. This arm, technically speaking, is shorter than the arm should be. But it's only shorter because we have increased the size of that fist. So one more way is with changing in close-ups. Sometimes we don't need to focus on the action. Rather, we can focus on the reaction to that action. There's no difference from seeing like wrestling or UFC when they do the slow-mo playback and they start zooming in from different angles to show how the hit connected. Well, particularly UFC, since no wrestling's fake. Well, I mean, in fact, try to get some UFC questions here, just so you can see how that impact can actually work to make it seem even more effective. I'll stop for a moment time. So, let's have this down. I want you to go back to some of those drawings that you've made for your 100 figures. Pick, let's say 6 of them. You're going to draw them again on a separate page, and then you're going to change the angle of how you first had it. Remember, everything that we've done up to now is whole body. See what happens if you try to bring it down to a 3/4 shot. Turn the camera around. Though, don't bother close-ups, as we said, we don't have the faces on there just yet. That'll probably be next week. Don't shrink your arm too much. Make your pelvis just a little small. Torso is fine, pelvis. Very good, Alyssa. Very good. Watch right here. You see how you have the pelvis kind of pointing away from there? Make sure it lines up with a straightforward shot. Remember, you want the top of your pelvis to align with the bottoms of your ribs. What becomes different is if we actually have someone coming to the hips. Oh, very good, very good. This should be a rope time, but until someone shows up, let's see if anyone has to log in just yet. Not just yet. I know, we can do this first exercise together now. Okay, so if I wanted to say make this more dynamic, I'm going to draw my first blocks of one piece shaped skeleton. Draw my limbs. All right, Curry, what action is it, would you say? dancing, isn't he, sure? And let's over you. What do you say this pose is?
Probably dancing.
Dancing? Dancing? Gerald.
Look, it could be someone on the phone.
Could be someone on the phone. Let's this closer. Why do you think this might be dancing?
Because there's a lot of movement on the side.
Is a lot of movement? What if I was leaning against the wall? Remember, dancing is something that's supposed to be graceful. Two lines depict action. Curves and diagonals. So we do have some diagonals there, and we have a natural curve of the body. We can really say there's enough action there to consider dancing, especially if you have to be balanced while dancing. Is that person balanced? No. I say, if you stand like this, you're going to be wobbling after a few seconds. Everyone stand up. Lean with that pose, but don't lean against anything. See what happens. Now stand away from the table, that's cheating. Leg up a little more, Gary. Does that seem comfortable to you? You feel like you're dancing. You feel festive. Now, if anything, you might feel bored or contemplating. You're not going to be dancing. All right, take a seat. So see there, you don't really have anything anchoring you down. Now, what angle might we use to make this seem just a little bit more interesting? Because everything can't be a front shot.
Maybe a 3/4 view.
Want to try 3/4? That means we've got to cut them off from here. Ooh, this needs some small calibration. Do you think there's a way we can have the entire body, or should we just try to cut off the knees? You're coming from yesterday, Mr. Curry, but come on, stay awake. I need to try to recover from the game yesterday, Mr. Trot. Stay awake, Mr. Curry. Well, listen, is there any other way we can have this besides just cutting off the knees? Is there a way to have the full body here?
Full body.
But how will we change it from the full body we have now? The feet? So we should include the feet as well, you think? All right, let's try to make a fancy angle here and move this so we can actually see. We're going to turn the camera around this way. Oh, what now? Oh, which is great to have those legs there. But does it seem like there's more energy, more mood to it than that first one? That's why I changed the angles. I'll try another one. Let's see here. Let's see, who wants to volunteer? Try this next one. See, that's fine with 4 kid classes. If no one volunteers, I can just go ahead and eeny, meeny, mo, catch the title by the toe, even though Mr. Gray, thank you for being brave. All right, this next example. Let's see, let's try some I saw at the game last night. This time we are working with a profile view. All right, let's try turning that into something a little more dynamic. We have a man backing up. Just 6 feet. There we go. Now, what ways can we change the angle to make that look a little more exciting?
Profile view?
What's already in profile, though?
Oh, wait, no. A front view.
Try front, right? Give it a shot. Watch where the cursor is. This does need a little bit of calibration. Go with the speed. Either marker or pencil works just fine. Pen in this case.
Hey, Lord. Yes.
Make sure you have the board. See if I can calibrate the tools down. Alright, feel good so far. Come on, we can't schedule this. It's like one marker. Let's move to the arms. Now the arms look in this case. There's some joints. let me make a few adjustments here, but does it seem a little more dynamic than we had in the profile view? Correct, you say no, why?
Just didn't want to.
So yeah, but let's say that we try to make a few adjustments to this. Because I believe Gerald does have the right idea. So we're still going to use a frontal view. We're going to add a little more curve to the leg here. Remember, we don't have muscles to block anything just yet, so you can still show the leg. Now what about now? Pardon? He's getting what? Pick up. Well, yeah, but he's running backwards, right? The thing I think he was trying to do is he was trying to pull some foreshortening with the thigh, which will cover the leg up.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
So we had some mass on here. Now, Caesar, you were having the right idea there. Small, therefore, shortening on the arms because they'd be further back. And now I see what he was trying to do with that foreshortening there. Very good, very good. Let's see. Did anyone show up for... not today. They just... Oh well. Alright, so we have about 6 minutes left. So what you do is I want you to take one of your bigger drawings, since we don't actually have time to do that. Just take one. I want you to turn the angle. Whether it be flipping the camera, doing a zoom in. Take one. I always say just picking one of your most boring ones. And see if you can spice it up with a new angle.